Everyone has a typical picture of the rock star life. You know, the lavish entourage smashing their instruments at the end of the show just because they can and to show their utter disgust for the society's norms, and traveling the world spending money like it's going out of style, always in the media spotlight. No, I am not talking about Kanye West either. I'm speaking about a time before Kanye West, a time of David Bowie. He was someone who was at home being a rock star, and not just one of the everyday rock stars, but one of those stars that had a flair for the arts and the dramatic. According to grunge.com, Bowie was an intellectual, a deep thinker. He wasn't into trashing hotel rooms, though he had no problems having a feud with other rock stars. This is a time-honored tradition. Some think it's something two stars do to get attention or just something about marketing, and that may be true for some cases, but in this one in particular, it's more about, just being who you are. In the famous David Bowie track, Let's Dance, David took aim at Gary Numan. You may remember him from that song Cars, real big hit in the early 80s, back when MTV was playing music on the television. You see, Gary Numan idolized David Bowie and his career, which had great highs and terrible lows, but the thing that was David kept moving forward all the time. He both defined and redefined himself while refusing to allow himself to be defined, ever the musical chameleon, ever the ethereal creative powerhouse. The one thing that David didn't like was conformity, and to David, Gary Numan represented just that. According to Chris O'Leary's Ashes to Ashes book, Numan once said that image is to be copied. That's the essential reason I created mine. This didn't go over very well with Bowie, who seemed to have disdain for his fellow artist. In October 2019, Numan told Uncut that he thought Bowie considered people like me as little upstarts. According to him, both stars were booked to appear on the Kenny Everett video show near the end of its run. On the learning that Numan was also there, Bowie reportedly asked for me to be thrown out of the studio and then taken off the program, per Numan. This was devastating for Numan, who professed to have been a huge fan and collector of Bowie's works at the time. In Teenage Wildlife, it seems that Bowie couldn't resist some lyrical digs at Numan. Teenage Wildlife appears on Bowie's 1980 album Scary Monsters and Super Creeps. This, it seems, was a troubling time for the artist, a time when competitors were popping up everywhere. Per Rolling Stone, his album from the previous year, Lodger, had not been a hit, while The Pleasure Principle from a certain Gary Numan certainly had. For these reasons, perhaps, Bowie disapproved of his fellow star, and he seemed to voice some of his dislike in the song Teenage Wildlife. Lines such as still you push your luck, a broken-nosed mogul, are you one of the new wave boys, and they move in numbers and they've got me in a corner, I feel like a group of one suggests that the new wave stars who appeared in Bowie's wake were perceived as a threat to him. Maybe Numan was the face of this threat. Speaking to Uncut, Numan went on to say that Bowie seemed to soften in his approach to him as time went on. He was still a young man with ups and downs in his own career. Later, he said some nice things about me. The song lyrics didn't offer the most pointed attack, perhaps, but it seems quite clear that he was saying and why. The man who styled himself as Ziggy Stardust, after all, always seemed to know which way the wind was blowing.